land of Judah. And Naomi said to her daughters-in-law, now, Naomi, we're going to try to do it, just really talk today. She's basically saying, go return to each of your mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you, may you find rest, each in the house of your husband. That means husband, whatever. So she says, she's basically saying, I'm out, about to return home. It's great being here. See y'all later. She doesn't want to be with them. She lost her son. She lost her husband. She's not even from this country. They don't worship the same gods. They're not of the same people. I'm going to leave y'all here. I'm going to go do me. She kisses them. And they lifted up their voices and wept. And they both said to her, surely we will return with you to your people. Now, but Naomi said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there still sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? Now, she's trying to give them the most negative, detrimental reason not to come with her. Nothing about what she's saying is sounding like I want to be with Naomi, right? Turn back, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband tonight, I should also bear sons, but you were to wait on them till they're grown. Would you restrain yourselves from having husbands? No, you wouldn't. For it grieves me very much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. So she's basically saying, it's not you, it's me. I don't want you to go for my sake. I want you to go for your sake. This is for the benefit of you. Do it for your best interest. I love you so much, I'm kicking you to the curb, right? Then they lifted up their voices, they wept again, and Oprah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. Now, Oprah listened. She was like, hey, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not going to get a man. She's not going to marry nobody else. This lady, she's already acting like she don't want me to be with her. I'm going to just go back and be with my people. Now, Oprah showed what? She's not steadfastly clinging to her mother-in-law. She's about her business, which is the right now. Pay attention. This is a lot about us, right? Oprah could only see what was shown to her. What was shown to her was by Naomi. Naomi showed her what she could not have. But God shows us what we can have. You gotta be paying attention. So Ruth clung to her mother-in-law because she was committed to her. She had said earlier that she would return, and she said she would. This is the first sign of Ruth's character. Oprah is more like the Baker Mayfield kind of people. I'm gonna be with you, then I can't. But Ruth is showing the first sign of what her character is like. In fact, after she clings to her, mother-in-law says to her, your other sister-in-law has gone back to be with her people. I would suggest you go back and be with them too. But Ruth says what's said at every wedding, right? She says, entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. For wherever you go, I will go. And wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me. Now that's beautiful. That is a wonderful thing to say. I'm going to say two things that's interesting about this. The Moabites did not just worship God. They had other gods. So she was a Moabitess. She was sending her back to not just go worship with her people. She was telling them to go worship back with her gods. That's why Ruth tells her, your people shall be my people. Meaning I have now left my people because I'm with you. And your God, I've left my gods for your God. So I'm fully committed to you. It's the second sign of her character. She's all in with Naomi. And Naomi was so excited about it in verse number 18, she stopped speaking to him, right? Because Naomi saw Ruth as a burden. It was an older woman. coming back by herself. She was, I think her husband was from the Benjamite tribe, so it was kind of, they knew somebody. We found out later that she was a distant relative of Boaz. She knew all this. So she didn't think she wasn't going to be okay, but she might not if she had this burden with her. So she didn't see Ruth as a benefit. She saw Ruth as a burden. And so this is some of Naomi's character. Naomi's character is about Naomi. She doesn't think anything about what might happen to Ruth. Ruth might get a husband, she might not get a husband. But whatever it is, it won't be with me. And so she's so upset with Ruth. She doesn't appreciate Ruth. She doesn't appreciate this woman who's willing to give up her youth to be with her mother-in-law, to take care of her. She was so selfish, in fact, that when she saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped speaking to Ruth. So the two of them goes apparently silently all the way to Bethlehem. And it happened when they came to Bethlehem that all the city was excited because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" So they knew her. Like I said before, she's a distant relative. She is unknown to the people. She had a plan. We find out later that she's got a good mind about plans and strategy, right? She's coming in. She already knows that it's the season where the men are going to start getting the crops from the field. She's on top of it. And she could do so much better, she thinks, if she was by herself and not with an attractive woman, young woman, that men might not pay any attention to her and just this young woman. But she says to them, "Do not call me Naomi." Now this is just ridiculous. "Call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?" Remember verse 20. Now, she said, "I left out full," which meant the Lord blessed her to leave out full. It doesn't, everything he gives us, not a blessing from God. So if he gave it all to you and now you claim you don't have any, he's giving that to you too for a reason. He can't fill up anything in your life if your basket is already full. Right? You should empty that. Right? So remember verse number 20. So Naomi returns, and Ruth the Moabite is with her daughter-in-law, and they go from the country of Moab, and now they are in Bethlehem at the barley harvest. As I told you, Ruth knew what she was doing. Now, in chapter 2, verse 17 through 23, we start to see a change in Ruth, right? So we start to see, not Ruth, we start to see a turn a little in Naomi. So in verse number 2, verse 17, it says, "So she gleaned in the field until evening." So Ruth was in the field of Boaz gleaning. That means picking up the shoots that was on the ground. "And beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. Then she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. So she brought out and gave what she had kept back after she had been satisfied." Here's a woman who is thinking about her mother-in-law's survival, working in the field, who could get enough for just herself, but not just herself, but her mother-in-law too. While her mother-in-law doesn't even want her to be there. It's not like her mother-in-law has shown her love and appreciation. "I'm so glad you're here." None of that's happened. And yet Ruth's character is showing you that she loves even when she's unloved. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? We're supposed to love those who hate us. So this is Ruth. And so Ruth's character is showing. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where have you gleaned today, and where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you." All of a sudden, her mother-in-law said, "Wait, this is a lot of barley, but just somebody working in the field. What happened?" So she tells her mother-in-law with whom she worked and said, "The man's name with whom I work today is Boaz." Now, Ruth says it like it's anybody else. "Where did you work today?" "I worked with Graham." "Worked in Graham's house." Everybody knows what Graham is, but the people in here would know that's Brother Graham, right? She says Boaz because she don't know. I just work in Boaz's field. But Naomi knows who Boaz is. And it changes in verse 20. Another verse 20. Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of the Lord. Wow, look at that. Who has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead. But wait, is this not the same Naomi that said God forgot her? God took her. God left her out full, and now she came back empty. But now Naomi says, blessed be he of the Lord, his kindness to the living and the dead. And Naomi said to her, this man is a relation of one of our close relatives. I thought he was distant, but he's close now. And Ruth the Moabite said, he also said to me, you shall stay close by my young men until they have finished all my harvest. Now he said, stay close to my young men because it protected her. Women had some today would say the same thing, but in that time, the field was way out there. Women could be taken advantage of, but Boaz's field, and those were the men that worked for him. He said, stay close to them and don't touch her. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it is good, my daughter. She's a daughter now. Pay attention. She saw changes in our lives. We need to be aware when people change on us. Right? They couldn't call, but you got a good job. Your phone's ringing off the hook. Pay attention. It's good, my daughter, that you go out with these young women, and that people do not meet you in any other field. So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean until the end of barley harvest and wheat harvest, and she dwelt with her mother-in-law. So now we have an idea of Naomi. Naomi went from not speaking to him, she was burdened. I came back full, I left full, I came back empty, to now there's a woman that's strategizing, starting to see that there's a possibility that there could be something with this Boaz-Ruth thing. And so now Ruth is her daughter, not her daughter-in-law. Trying to recognize all the slashes and hyphens are gone. It's her daughter now. And I want to show you Ruth's character. We've already seen it from the time she stayed with her mother-in-law. We talked about how she left her gods for her God, her people for her people, how she came even though her mother-in-law didn't want her, how she was not spoken to all the way to Bethlehem and treated a certain way, got to Bethlehem, and still worked in the field, didn't just eat for herself or her mother-in-law. And this is all the while that she was unwanted. But while in the field, and this is important, why our character is always on display. My wife and her, they have this thing, they're reading some book. It was called that God is always in the audience. I think it's imperative that we remember somebody's always watching. So Ruth's in the field. So in chapter 2, verse 5 through 18, it says in verse number 5, chapter 2, verse 5, then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, Ruth is out there reaping, hey, who's that woman right? She was cute. He'd never seen her before. She wasn't reaping yesterday. Who's this woman? Now I want you to understand he sees Ruth, right? Saul. So the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, it's the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. Please she said, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. Now, she's not only loyal, she's a hard worker. Not only loyal, she's a hard worker. Then Boaz said to Ruth, you will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close by my young women. So he wants them by the young women. Now, he keeps her with his young women, but already told the young men, don't mess with her. Y'all gonna all get fired. Y'all talk to her. So let your eyes be on the field which they reap and go after them. He said, have I not already commanded the young men not to touch you? So she couldn't have known that. But he told her in a nice roundabout way, you don't have to worry about it. Nobody's gonna mess with you. I already told you. And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have